Have you ever said something in the heat of the moment, only to regret it instantly, wishing you could pull those words right back into your mouth? What if you could transform the way you speak, so every word you say carried the weight of wisdom, not impulse? Imagine being the kind of person whose speech earns quiet respect, builds trust, and reflects strength, not through volume, but through mastery. Now imagine this, mastering your speech not just to sound smarter, but to become wiser. That's exactly what we're exploring today. 6 powerful habits of verbal mastery rooted in timeless Stoic philosophy. These are not just tricks to improve your conversations. They are practices to shape your character. Because the way you speak isn't just about words. It's a mirror reflecting your values, your mind, and your inner discipline, from avoiding empty bragging to embracing the power of silence. Each habit we cover today is a tool refined by ancient wisdom to help you communicate like someone who truly understands themselves and the world. And here's the best part. By the end of this video, you'll walk away with practical techniques you can apply right away, whether you're in a meeting with friends or simply talking to yourself in moments of reflection. These habits will elevate your speech and your presence. If this resonates with you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Stoic Narratives Official. Because what you're about to learn doesn't just improve how you talk, it reshapes how you live. Habit 1. Avoid boasting. About knowledge now, pause and ask yourself, when was the last time you met someone who wouldn't stop talking about their accomplishments? The degrees, the books, the people they've met? At first it may seem impressive, but very soon something shifts. You stop feeling admiration and start feeling alienated. That's because boasting, no matter how subtle, creates distance. It signals insecurity, not mastery. According to Stoic wisdom, true intelligence doesn't need to be advertised. It shows itself in actions, not announcements. It's calm, quiet, and grounded. Let's bring this lesson to life with a story. There was once a man who had built a thriving career. He was successful, well-read, and well-connected. Every time he entered a room, he tried to dazzle others with his achievements, his knowledge, his connections. At first, people were intrigued, but as time passed, they grew weary. They began to feel small around him, not because of what he knew, but because of how he shared it. His words didn't uplift, they overwhelmed. They didn't connect, they created a wall. One day, a colleague pulled him aside and said gently, "You're talented, but the way you speak pushes people away." That moment hit like a wake-up call. He realized that in his attempt to prove his worth, he was actually doing the opposite, isolating himself. Not because he lacked value, but because he lacked humility, and this isn't rare. Many of us have been taught to lead with our accomplishments, thinking that's the path to respect. But the Stoics knew better. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Just as nature takes no credit for what it creates, neither should we." A tree doesn't boast about its fruit. The sun doesn't announce its rising. So why should wisdom need applause? So if true strength lies in quiet confidence, what's the next step in refining how we speak? Let's move to the second habit, a subtle yet powerful shift that can change everything. That quote from Marcus Aurelius reminds us of a powerful truth. Wisdom, like nature, doesn't need to advertise itself. So what does that actually look like in everyday life? It starts with a mindset shift. We shouldn't treat knowledge as a trophy to show off or a weapon to win arguments. Instead, think of it as a tool, sharp, useful, but only as effective as the hand that holds it. And just like any tool, it's not about owning it, but about how you use it. When we boast, we unintentionally dull the edge of that tool. Rather than building respect, we build walls. Listeners don't feel encouraged or enlightened. They feel judged, as if they're constantly being compared to your intellect. And here's the ironic part. In trying to impress, we lose the chance to connect. A conversation turns into a silent battle of egos. No one wins, no one grows. So why is it that truly intelligent people tend to avoid boasting altogether? First, they understand a timeless principle. Actions speak louder than words. You don't need to explain your intelligence if your life already reflects it. Whether through your decisions, your habits, or your ability to stay calm under pressure, people see it even if you never mention it. Second, they deeply value humility. But let's be clear, humility doesn't mean pretending to be less than you are. It simply means allowing others the space to notice your strengths on their own. It's quiet confidence, not false modesty. And finally, intelligent people are lifelong learners. They recognize that when they're speaking only about themselves, they're not listening. And when they're not listening, they're not growing. So how do you walk the line? How do you share what you know without sounding like you're showing off? It begins with intention. Ask yourself, why am I saying this? Is it to help, or is it to be admired? If your answer leans toward ego, take a breath. Shift your focus. Remember, the real goal of communication is connection, not performance. Try rephrasing. Instead of saying, I already know how to fix that, say, here's something that might help. A simple change, but the impact is profound. You stop commanding the room and start contributing to it. This is what the Stoics meant by mindful speaking. It's not about suppressing your voice. It's about aligning it with purpose, and sometimes the wisest voice in the room is the quietest one. Silence can speak volumes. It shows that you're present, engaged, and open to learning. You notice more. You understand what others care about. And slowly, people start trusting you. Not because you're loud, but because your silence means something. Think back to the man in our earlier story, the one who used to boast to feel seen. Over time, he changed. He began asking thoughtful questions. He stopped trying to impress. He listened, genuinely, patiently, and something remarkable happened. People began turning to him not because he talked more, but because he talked less and listened better. So what was the next habit that deepened this transformation? Let's explore it together in the following section. He didn't speak often, but when he did, people listened, not out of obligation, but out of genuine respect. Why? Because he had earned their trust. His silence wasn't awkward or empty. It radiated strength. His humility didn't make him smaller. It made him admirable. The end, avoiding boastful speech, isn't about hiding your knowledge. It's about offering it in a way that uplifts others, not overshadows them. It's about understanding that your words carry the weight of your character. Every sentence you speak is a glimpse into who you are inside. When you choose humility over arrogance, you embody what Stoic wisdom teaches at its core. Live not for applause, but for purpose. Real strength doesn't need to shout, so pause for A moment and ask yourself, do my words reflect the person I want to be? That simple question, asked daily, can lead to powerful inner growth. Habit 2. Never dismiss others' opinions. Building on this idea of humility in speech, let's go deeper. One of the most profound ways to live out this principle is by truly honoring the voices of others, especially those we might instinctively disregard. Have you ever been in a conversation where someone brushed off your thoughts before you could even finish? Before you had a chance to explain your perspective? It's frustrating, sometimes even hurtful. It can leave you feeling invisible, like your voice doesn't matter, and sadly, we've all experienced it. But Stoic philosophy reminds us every individual has value, and with that value comes insight, perspectives shaped by experiences, by different paths and challenges. To dismiss someone's opinion outright is more than rude. It's a missed opportunity to understand and to connect. Let's bring this to life with another story. Imagine a man, we'll call him the protagonist. He's sharp, confident, and highly respected in his field, but he has a weakness. He's not a great listener. In meetings, he's quick to interrupt. If an idea doesn't instantly make sense to him, he waves it off, not out of malice, but in the name of efficiency. Why spend time on something that, in his mind, clearly won't work, but over time, a subtle change takes place? His colleagues begin to withdraw. Fewer ideas are shared. The energy in the room fades. Creativity stalls. Innovation slows. He notices it, but doesn't quite understand why. Then, during a routine project review, something happens. A junior team member, clearly nervous, offers a suggestion. It's unconventional. It's not polished. The man is about to cut him off, his instinct ready to reject it. But this time, something holds him back. He pauses, he listens, and to his surprise, the idea is brilliant, not just good, game-changing. In that moment, something clicks. He realizes how many ideas he's missed, how many voices he's silenced, just because he thought he already knew better. It wasn't arrogance that blocked him. It was the absence of humility. This one moment opened his eyes, but it was just the beginning. Because the third habit, as we'll soon see, isn't just about listening. It's about how you respond. Once you truly hear, that one moment of choosing to listen, just listen, sparked a shift. It wasn't just a personal revelation. It became the foundation for something greater: trust, collaboration, and a new way of leading. The Stoics believed with unwavering conviction that true wisdom is born not from arrogance, but from openness. Marcus Aurelius himself once wrote, "It is impossible to learn that which you think you already know." And he was right. The instant we shut down another person's opinion, we don't just close a conversation, we close the door to growth. It's as if we're declaring, "I already know everything I need to know." But ironically, that very mindset is the mark of ignorance, not intelligence. Let's be honest, hearing views that challenge our own isn't easy. It stings. It bruises the ego. It pushes us into uncomfortable territory, forcing us to consider that we might not be right, that we might in fact be wrong. But that's exactly where real growth begins, when we allow others the space to speak freely. Even if we disagree, we create more than just dialogue. We build an atmosphere of mutual respect, of open exchange. We build trust, and in that space, new ideas can thrive. So how can you avoid falling into the trap of dismissing others while still standing true to your beliefs. First, understand this. Listening does not equal agreeing. You can offer someone the dignity of being heard without surrendering your principles. Sometimes the simple act of listening is enough to communicate, "I value you, even if I see things differently." Second, shift your mindset from defensiveness to curiosity. Instead of thinking, "How can I counter this?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" Even if the opinion seems flawed or misinformed, there might be a tiny grain of truth hidden within it. And if not, you've still learned something valuable. How that person thinks, what they care about, how they interpret the world. That alone deepens your understanding. Finally, embrace humility. Stoic wisdom teaches us to stop seeing ourselves as the center of the universe. We are a part of something much larger, a web of minds, experiences, and insights. When you shut someone down, you act as if your view is the only one that matters. But no single person, no matter how intelligent, holds all the answers. True wisdom lies in collaboration. It thrives in the back and forth, in the willingness to listen and to learn. Our protagonist learned this firsthand. His simple decision to listen more didn't just save a failing project, it changed him. He began to lead differently. He asked more questions. He drew out ideas from team members who had once stayed silent. And what he discovered was astonishing. His team wasn't just capable, they were brilliant. All they needed was space, a space where their voices mattered. In the end, choosing not to dismiss others' opinions isn't merely about being kind. It's about being strategic, because when you invite perspectives, you unlock hidden insights, creative breakthroughs, and a sense of unity. Most importantly, you demonstrate that real intelligence isn't about being right all the time. It's about recognizing that everyone in their own way has something valuable to offer. So now that we've seen the power of humility and open dialogue, what's the next key to mastering your speech and embodying Stoic wisdom? Let's continue with the third habit that transforms not only how we speak, but how we lead. By choosing to honor the perspectives of others, our protagonist not only became a better leader, he became a better human. And this shift in mindset paved the way for another vital Stoic principle, one that separates thoughtful speech from emotional reaction. Habit 3. Refrain from complaining without purpose as we continue this journey through Stoic wisdom. Here's a powerful truth that many overlook. Intelligent individuals avoid complaining unless it serves a purpose. Why? Because unchecked complaining can slowly evolve into a habit, a corrosive one. It drains relationships, erodes resilience, and fosters a mindset of helplessness. The Stoics remind us, it's perfectly human to feel frustration. Life throws challenges at us constantly, but venting about them without any constructive aim does more harm than good. It doesn't solve problems, it spreads negativity. Let's revisit our protagonist. He's someone many of us might recognize or even see in ourselves. A hard-working person juggling work deadlines, family expectations, and the daily chaos of modern life. Like anyone, he gets overwhelmed. But instead of channeling that energy into action, he vents constantly. He complains about his boss, about traffic, about the weather, the usual suspects. At first, friends and co-workers respond with empathy. They nod, offer comfort, even share similar frustrations. But over time, something shifts. The energy around him changes. people begin to distance themselves. His conversations no longer feel like shared experiences. They feel like emotional dumping grounds. His words, once a way to connect, start to wear people down. Then, one day, a close friend says something that cuts through the noise. I get that things are hard, but what are you actually doing to fix them? That question hits him like a bolt of clarity. He pauses, reflects, and realizes that he's been focusing so much on what's wrong, he hasn't taken any steps toward making things right. Even worse, his constant venting has been silently draining the people who care about him most. It's a moment of painful truth, but also a turning point. This scenario is far too common. We've all done it, aired our frustrations without considering how it affects those around us. But Stoic philosophy urges us to step back and focus on something much more empowering. What we can control. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Complaining about things beyond our control, traffic, other people's behavior, bad weather, doesn't move us forward. It keeps us stuck. It reinforces a sense of powerlessness rather than encouraging action. But here's the nuance. Not all complaints are bad. When they come from a place of clarity and are aimed at improvement, they can spark change. Complaints with purpose are catalysts, but complaints without direction? They're like shouting into the wind, loud but ultimately empty. So how do we shift from mindless venting to purposeful speech? The next habit dives into this transformation, showing us how to speak with intention, not just emotion. So, how do we turn frustration into fuel for growth? In the last section, we saw how complaining without purpose drains not just our own energy, but also the people around us. And now, here's the truth at the heart of Stoic thinking. Complaining about the rain doesn't stop the storm. Venting about traffic won't make it move faster. Intelligent individuals recognize this. They don't waste precious energy fighting what they cannot change. Instead, they reserve that energy for what actually matters, for what they can influence. So, how can you break the habit of purposeless complaining? It starts with one powerful question. The next time you feel irritated, stop and ask yourself, what can I do about this? If the answer is nothing, then let it go. Truly, just let it go, because complaining about what's beyond your control doesn't solve anything. It only steals your peace bit by bit. Instead, redirect that energy into something productive. Reading, journaling, a deep breath, or simply practicing gratitude for the good in your life. Even the smallest shift in focus can reclaim a sense of calm. Here's another approach. Reframe your thoughts. Instead of asking, why does this always happen to me? Ask, what can I learn from this? Stoic wisdom teaches us that every frustration is a disguised lesson, an opportunity in rough clothing. Complaints make us blind to those lessons. Reflection reveals them. Let's return to our protagonist. After reflecting on his friend's tough question, he made a choice. He stopped airing complaints and started looking for solutions. Instead of grumbling about his boss, he began crafting thoughtful proposals. Instead of cursing traffic, he turned that commute into time for audiobooks and mindfulness. Day by day, he took back control of his mindset, and the results were noticeable. He gained mental clarity. His speech became more deliberate and positive. People no longer felt weighed down by his presence. They felt lifted up. His conversations had purpose. His words had weight. Most importantly, his relationships improved. People were drawn to his calm, solution-focused energy. He became someone others wanted to be around, not because he never faced problems, but because he faced them differently. In the end, refraining from aimless complaining is not about pretending life is perfect. It's about reclaiming your power. When you focus on what you can control, you build inner strength, and you influence the world around you in quiet, meaningful ways. Stoicism teaches that your thoughts and words are tools. If you use them with intention, they can build a life rooted in purpose, resilience, and calm. Habit 4. No empty promises. Speak with intention. And speaking of intention, the next principle flows naturally from here, building on the idea of choosing. Words carefully, Stoic communication urges us to avoid making empty promises or speaking without thinking. Words, once released, cannot be pulled back. They carry weight. And when spoken recklessly, they can damage trust faster than silence ever could. So how do we become more mindful with our commitments? Let's now explore the habit that ensures our speech is not only thoughtful, but reliable. As we just explored, Stoic wisdom teaches us to speak with intention, to use our words as carefully as a skilled artisan handles their tools. And that brings us to another crucial habit. Avoid making empty promises. Imagine a master craftsman at work. Every tool is chosen with care, every movement precise. Now imagine if they swung their hammer blindly, without thought or aim. The result would be chaos, not craftsmanship. Words are no different. Let's revisit our protagonist. In his well-meaning desire to be seen as helpful, dependable, even admirable, he begins to say yes to everything. A favor here, a commitment there. Every time someone asks for his help, he agrees, without pausing to check whether he truly has the time, energy, or resources to follow through. At first, it earns him praise. People admire his willingness. He becomes the go-to person. But slowly, cracks begin to show. A missed deadline, a forgotten task, a promise left unfulfilled. One after another, the small lapses start to add up. Trust, once freely given, begins to erode, and then comes the turning point. One day, a colleague finally confronts him after yet another unkept commitment. They say, "It's not that you don't mean well, but your words don't mean anything anymore." Those words sting. In that moment, he realizes the weight of his actions, or rather his inactions. Each broken promise hasn't just let others down. It has chipped away at something far more fragile, his integrity. This moment highlights why empty promises are so damaging. When you give your word, you're offering a guarantee. If you fail to deliver that guarantee, your credibility starts to lose its value. And once lost, trust is incredibly hard to rebuild. The Stoics spoke clearly on this. Epictetus taught, "First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do." In other words, don't just say who you are, be it. Let your actions mirror your words. This principle applies far beyond promises. It extends to everything we say. Think about how often we speak without truly considering the impact of our words. A careless comment, a quick reply spoken in frustration, an offhand remark that lingers longer than we realize. Words have power, and when we speak without thinking, we risk causing harm, misunderstandings, conflict, disappointment, all things Stoic wisdom urges us to avoid. So how can we protect our speech from impulsiveness and overcommitment? Start with awareness. Before saying yes to a request or making a commitment, pause and ask yourself, can I genuinely fulfill this? If the honest answer is no, then say so, clearly and respectfully. People may not always like it, but they will respect it. It's better to set boundaries early than to damage trust later. Next, practice the art of the pause. When someone asks you a difficult question, or you're put on the spot, don't rush to respond. Take a breath. Think. Silence, far from being a weakness, is a powerful tool. It allows space for clarity, and in that pause, something shifts. You give yourself the chance to respond, not react. So what happens when we learn to speak less impulsively, with more honesty and care? The next habit will reveal how choosing your words wisely isn't just about communication. It's about influence, discipline, and power. By learning to pause before speaking and honoring his word, our protagonist began embodying the Stoic ideal of mindful communication. And this next lesson builds directly on that foundation, because once you've chosen your words carefully, the true test is living up to them. Before you speak, weigh your options carefully. Take a breath. Ask yourself, does this align with my values? That simple pause, that mindful moment, is at the core of Stoic speech. It ensures that what you say isn't just reactive, it's reflective. And when it comes to commitments, this principle becomes even more important. Your word is not just noise, it's currency. Spend it wisely. So, when you make a promise, no matter how small, follow through. Every fulfilled commitment, every task completed as promised, becomes a building block. Over time, these small acts of consistency shape something powerful, a reputation for reliability, and credibility built on action is the kind that can't be shaken. Let's return once again to our protagonist. His story didn't end with a single moment of realization. After being confronted for overpromising, he didn't get defensive. He listened, and he acted. He began saying no when necessary, not as an excuse, but with honesty and clarity. He explained his limitations instead of masking them. He paused before responding, choosing his words with care. Most importantly, he made it a rule. If he promised something, he would deliver it, no matter how inconvenient or difficult it might be. Slowly, steadily, trust returned. Colleagues began to rely on him again, not because he said yes to everything, but because when he did say yes, he meant it. In the end, avoiding empty promises and thinking before you speak isn't just about maintaining appearances. It's about living with integrity. When your words align with your actions, people sense it. They feel safe with you. And as the Stoics knew well, trust is the foundation of every meaningful relationship, whether in work, friendship, or family. So, before you speak, pause. Before you promise, reflect. Let your words reveal not just what you think, but who you truly are. That's the essence of mindful communication. Habit 5. Don't deny your mistakes. And speaking of integrity, there's another powerful Stoic lesson that wise individuals never overlook: owning your mistakes. Admitting when you're wrong isn't weakness, it's strength. It shows humility, self-awareness, and a real desire to grow. In fact, how you handle your failures often says far more about your character than any of your accomplishments ever could. Let's return to our protagonist once more. After rebuilding trust through consistent action, he encountered a new test, aitan, or moment that would challenge not just his words, but his ego. He was leading a high-stakes project. Pressed by a tight deadline, he made a rushed decision and overlooked a key detail. That mistake caused a setback, delaying progress and frustrating his team. And when the moment of accountability came, his first instinct was to shift the blame, to defend himself, to say, well, the deadline was impossible anyway. But deep down, he knew what came next would define his growth far more than the mistake itself. Because how we respond when things go wrong reveals who we truly are. When our protagonist faced that critical moment, the mistake that had delayed his entire project, his first instinct was to protect himself. After all, he wasn't the only one who missed it. Others had overlooked the issue too. Wouldn't it be easy to deflect the blame? But something within stopped him. He knew deep down that shifting responsibility wouldn't solve anything. Worse, it would chip away at the hard-earned respect he had just begun to rebuild. And this time, he wanted to do things differently. So, he made a choice. Instead of making excuses, he addressed the situation head-on. He admitted his oversight, apologized to his team, and, most importantly, clearly laid out the steps he would take to ensure the same mistake wouldn't happen again. And something unexpected happened. Rather than feeling let down, his team responded with respect and support. His honesty didn't make him look weak. It made him more human, more trustworthy. They didn't just appreciate the apology, they admired his courage. In that moment, he learned a powerful Stoic truth. Admitting your mistakes doesn't diminish you. It elevates you. This is where Stoic wisdom truly shines. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake in any thought or action, I shall gladly change, for it is the truth I seek, and the truth never harmed anyone." To the Stoics, truth is not just a virtue, it's a path to growth. When you deny your mistakes, you're not just hiding from others. You're hiding from the opportunity to learn, to evolve, to become better. But let's be honest, why is admitting our mistakes so difficult? The answer often lies in ego. We fear appearing incompetent or vulnerable. We fear judgment. But ironically, denying a mistake only makes those fears more visible. It builds a wall one others can see right through. And that wall becomes the very thing that stops us from solving the real problem. On the other hand, owning your missteps, that signals true strength. It shows self-awareness, emotional maturity, and the inner confidence to face the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. So how can you apply this Stoic principle in your own life? First, practice self-awareness. When something goes wrong, resist the instinct to blame external factors. Instead, turn inward. Ask yourself, what part did I play in this? Even if your role was small, acknowledging it is the first step toward resolution. Second, focus on solutions, not excuses. Admitting the error is only the beginning. What matters more is what you do next. Clearly outline the steps you'll take to correct the mistake and prevent it from repeating. This proactive mindset doesn't just fix problems, it builds lasting trust. Finally, treat mistakes as opportunities. The Stoics believed that within every challenge lies a lesson. A mistake isn't a dead end, it's feedback. If you choose to see it that way, each misstep becomes a chance to sharpen your thinking, deepen your understanding, and emerge stronger than before. And as we'll see in the next habit, that mindset, seeing setbacks not as defeats but as lessons, is the foundation of emotional strength and lasting resilience. By owning his mistake and facing the truth with humility, our protagonist not only corrected the problem, he also strengthened the foundation of his leadership. His willingness to admit fault didn't diminish him. It inspired those around him. His team saw something rare, a leader who could acknowledge failure, learn from it, and keep moving forward with integrity. And that earned him a kind of respect that no amount of defensiveness or excuse-making ever could. In the end, admitting your mistakes isn't just about solving a problem. It's about living authentically. It's about standing in the truth even when it's uncomfortable and using it as a stepping stone to become wiser, stronger, and more grounded. As the Stoics would say, every error is a stepping stone to wisdom. So the next time you stumble, don't run from it. Pause. Acknowledge what went wrong. Commit to doing better, because in the long run, it's the courage to own your mistakes that separates the truly wise from the merely knowledgeable. Habit 6. Don't overshare future plans. And speaking of wisdom, there's another Stoic habit, less obvious but equally powerful, that intelligent individuals follow. Avoid the temptation to overshare your future plans. It's natural to feel excited when a new idea sparks in your mind. You want to tell someone, share the vision, talk through every detail. But Stoic philosophy teaches us to pause before doing that. Why? Because when you talk too much about your goals, you risk diluting your focus. You open the door to opinions you didn't ask for. And sometimes even the slightest doubt from others can derail your momentum before you've taken your first step. Let's return to our protagonist. After learning to lead with integrity, he's feeling recharged. A new project idea has been growing inside him for months. It's bold, creative, something that could really make a difference. Over coffee one day, caught up in the excitement, he shares the entire vision with a friend, the idea, the strategy, the goals, the dream. His friend listens, nods, then responds cautiously, "That sounds risky. Are you sure that's going to work?" It's a small comment, but it hits harder than expected. Doubt begins to creep in. Enthusiasm starts to fade. He starts questioning things he hadn't even worried about before. What if he fails? What if others think it's foolish? What once felt clear now feels uncertain, and that's the danger of oversharing. Sometimes talking about your dreams doesn't bring support. It invites judgment. It weakens the fire before it ever has the chance to grow. The Stoics saw this clearly. Epictetus once advised, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." The same principle applies to your goals. Don't just talk about them. Work on them. Oversharing can trick the mind. It creates a false sense of progress, like talking about a goal is the same as achieving it. But it's not. And the more we talk, the more fragile our focus becomes. So how do we protect our inner vision and fuel our ambition in silence? In the next section, we'll uncover how disciplined restraint can sharpen your resolve and lead to far greater results. As we saw earlier, oversharing your ambitions can weaken them. letting in doubt, distraction, and external noise. Because, in the end, talking doesn't build anything. Actions do. There's also a hidden cost to speaking too soon. Expectations. When you broadcast your plans publicly, you invite others to watch. Every step forward begins to feel like a performance. Every delay or pivot feels like a failure under the spotlight of other people's opinions. The Stoics understood this pressure, and they warned against it. They taught us to keep our focus inward, not outward. Control what you can. Let go of what you can't. When you share your plans too early, your attention drifts toward managing how others perceive your journey instead of staying present and committed to the journey itself. So, how do you strike the right balance? First, remember that not everyone needs to know your every move. Share your goals only with those who genuinely care, people who will guide, support, and hold you accountable, but without dimming your light. There's a big difference between seeking validation and seeking wisdom. Second, embrace the power of progress over promises. Instead of saying, "I'm going to do this amazing thing," focus on quietly doing it. Let your results speak. And when they do, they speak louder than any announcement ever could. Real success doesn't need a trumpet. It's self-evident. Third, practice patience. Every worthy ambition takes time. It twists, shifts, and evolves. When you overshare, you may unintentionally trap yourself in a rigid timeline or fixed idea just to maintain appearances. But if you keep your plans private, you allow space to adapt, adjust, and grow without the burden of explaining yourself to others. Our protagonist learned this the hard way. After sharing his big vision too soon, the flood of skepticism began to shake his confidence. He found himself paralyzed, not by the challenge of the task, but by the weight of everyone watching. The expectations became chains. So he pulled back. He realigned with his purpose. He stopped announcing and started acting. He only shared progress after it was real, when it could speak for itself. And something changed. He felt lighter, more focused, more driven. With fewer distractions and no outside pressure, he became unstoppable. In the end, avoiding the urge to overshare your future plans is about protecting your energy. Your dreams are precious. They deserve a space to grow in peace, free from premature judgment or noise. As the Stoics remind us, focus on what's within your control, your actions, your effort, your discipline. Let others witness the results when the time is right. Until then, stay quiet, stay focused. Let your success be the one to speak. That is the heart of mindful action, and it is the mark of true intelligence. As we bring this Stoic journey to a close, one final reminder remains, a lesson that ties all the habits together and invites you to put them into daily practice. Let's wrap it all up with the final insight. After learning to protect your energy by keeping your plans private, there's one final reminder that ties everything together. True intelligence isn't measured by what you know, but by how you live. It's in how you speak, how you carry yourself, how you connect with the people around you. The Stoics understood this deeply. And that's why the habits we've explored, from avoiding the trap of boasting to owning your mistakes to staying grounded in action, aren't just communication tips. They're principles for living with integrity. Each one of these habits points toward a higher standard, not perfection, but presence. A Stoic life is a mindful life. It's not about looking wise, it's about being wise in the small, quiet choices you make each day. And that begins with your words, because your words don't just shape what others think of you. They reflect who you truly are. So now comes the real challenge, to put all of this into practice. Speak with clarity, act with purpose, and let your growth unfold naturally, without the need for applause or explanation. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. If this video resonated with you, hit the like button and subscribe to Stoic Narratives Official for more practical, empowering Stoic wisdom. Let's keep walking this path, one mindful step at a time. Thank you for watching.